Hi and welcome to a new video. Today I thought we could talk a little about my autumn/fall recommendations. I know it's still summer, and honestly I have not had fall or autumn for like 2 years. It's crazy how long it's been. Since I went to Australia in September last year, I kind of went from summer to summer. I got a little bit of like fall/winter in the end of Sydney. And I feel like I read some books there that really correlates, or not like correlates, but have the mood, the vibe of autumn and fall. So some of those are according to that, and other ones are just books I feel like would be like the perfect ones to read during autumn. So we have a little bit of a different vibe here. I feel like during winter, fall-ish, I at least read a lot more fantasy, murder mystery, and not non-fiction, but literary fiction. I feel like that's the mood you're in during that time of year. A little bit more morose, a little bit more deep, things like that. So this is in no order in particular. I'm just gonna pick up what book is first, and that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I am a firm believer that you should start with Throne of Glass. I know a lot of people say that you should start with Assassin's Blade, but I, as a person who's read Throne of Glass 3 times this book and have read the entirety of the series, I'm on my reread now, and I'm on the tandem read. So I would firmly say that you should read Throne of Glass first. Please do that. And this is basically that we have an assassin called Selena Sardothian, and she is a slave when you start the book. She's a slave and live in this slave camp called Endovier. All of a sudden, she gets dragged out and gets to meet the crown prince. And he basically says, I want you to be my champion, to compete in this tournament to become my father, the king's assassin. So she gets dragged out of Endovier and have to compete in these trials to become the king's champion. And during a lot of the things that are happening, there appear some mysteries, there appear some side plots that I just love. I love when we have a book, either if it's romance, mystery, romance, fantasy, whatever, and there's a mystery plot. I adore that. I find it so entertaining, and I feel like it keeps you kind of on your toes. So I would truly recommend starting to read Throne of Glass. It is a commitment. I know it is a commitment. It is 8 books, but it's so worth it, and I would truly recommend kind of reading it back to back. I know, again, it's such a commitment, but I read Throne of Glass the first time in 2020, 2021, and then I never picked up the rest of the books. So it took me until 2023 to pick it up again and then read the rest of the books. So I would thoroughly recommend at least reading the 3rd or 4th first books. So I would absolutely say Throne of Glass is one of my top recommendations to read during autumn. The next book we have is kind of like a little bit controversial, and that is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is, in my opinion, the first book you should start with in the Shadowhunters universe. There is a plot line in these books that is kind of controversial and that I spoiled for myself because you want to have it spoiled for yourself. I don't know where Cassandra Clare did a plot line. I don't know. And I'm gonna spoil it for you guys. They are not siblings. You're gonna get it when you read the book. They're not siblings. Please know that. Please continue reading. It's so worth it. Just know they're not siblings. Okay? Now you guys know that. So what is this about? We have Claire Frey, who's the female main character, and she lives in Brooklyn in New York. And all of a sudden she starts seeing weird things on the street. She goes to this bar club and she starts seeing things she's never really seen before. She's like, what is going on here? And the things she starts seeing are vampires, are shadow hunters, are werewolves. And she's like, okay guys, what's going on here? So she starts seeing this forbidden part of New York and gets dragged into the world of shadow hunters. And she starts realizing along the way that her mother is a shadow hunter who's kept her, Clary, in the dark about her real, herself. That she as well is a shadow hunter, and because of some things, they have been in hiding. They have hid away from the shadow hunter world because there is a dark force within the shadow hunters. There are a group of people who turned bad, who turned against other shadow hunters and became really bad, so to say, without spoiling anything. And therefore, Clary's mom had to run and hide with Clary. And a lot of this is getting dragged up, and you just get to follow her and see her being welcomed into the shadow world and to the shadow hunters, all of that. I don't want to really say anything more because I feel like you should kind of go in blind. The only thing you should know, they're not siblings, okay? Don't know why she did that, but they're not, okay? Now we've gotten that out of the way. The next book is Nightshade, and this, like, I think the blurb says that it's a dark romance, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'm not a fan of dark romance. I'm more like a bubbly vibe fantasy, fantasy romance. But I get that there's elements of it that are dark. It's set in a dark academia setting, and some parts of the romance could be dark romance, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it is. So we have Ophelia Winters, and she lives in the Scottish Highlands at Sorrow Song University. And the only thing she's been told her entire life is that this mystery family, blah, 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 Alex, I'm gonna push this, Corborough Green, goes there. And the plot is basically that Ophelia's parents were murdered. And Alex, the guy who goes to this school, his father is the prime suspect of her for her parents' murder. So even though her parents all her life have said, don't go to Sorrow Song University, she starts going there after their death. So she starts going there, and all of a sudden she has a stalker. Here the dark elements kind of like start appearing. And she realizes that she might not survive Sorrow Song University on her own. So Alex, aka the suspect's son, becomes an ally. And this can lead to many different things. The end of the blurb says, can she really bring herself to destroy everything he's ever known? I would recommend this. I would say check trigger warnings and like check everything surrounding like trigger warnings and blurb and stuff like that, because this is not a book for everyone. However, I feel like this is the perfect book for fall and autumn because it's just the right vibes. It's dark, it's twisty, it's set in like this dark academia setting. That's just all of the vibes, you know. The next book is kind of in the same setting, but it's YA. I don't think Nightshade is YA. I think it's adult romance or new adult romance. This is a YA murder mystery called Truly Devious, and this is one of my favorite murder mysteries of all time. So we have, again, a dark academia setting called Ellingham Academy, and it's a private school in Vancouver where talented and gifted kids gets to go to school. They kind of have to apply with this, like, I'm really, really good at this thing, and then they get accepted into that school to pursue that specific thing. So it's really gifted kids that go to this school. And when Ellingham, he who owns the school, his wife and daughter gets kidnapped a few years ago. And this by someone with the pseudonym, I think that's how we pronounce it, Truly Devious. And then many years later, this girl, Stevie Bell, begins her first year at Ellingham Academy. And why does she get accepted? because she is really, really good at true crime. And her project at this school is to solve the murder or the mystery around Ellingham's wife and daughter. Why did they disappear? Are they dead? Are they murdered? Are they not? Yeah. So this is kind of like the first book in the trilogy. It is, I think, 5 books at this point. There's a 6th book coming out this year, but it's like the trilogy is the OG. That's the thing, you have to read all of those to kind of solve the mystery, because you have to follow it in each book. And I feel like they do it in a really good way, Maureen Johnson, where you still kind of have some resolutions coming forward in the end of the book, but you still have this big mystery of what actually happened throughout all of the 3 books. So truly recommend this. And this is YA. It's not too gory, not too like dark, but it still gives these autumn vibes. The next book is also a murder mystery, and this is The Naturals. This is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the same author as The Inheritance Games. This series is my absolute favorite series by her. I don't know why this haven't gotten any more like popularity compared to the Inheritance Games. This is like my favorite ones. So we have Cassie Hobbs, and she's a natural at reading people. Think like a big Criminal Minds-esque. This is that. And she can basically profile you, even though she's like 17, 18, 19, I don't really remember. She's a teenager in the older teenage years. And then all of a sudden, FBI comes knocking on her door and says, we know that you're really good at reading people, so we want to put you in this program where we have really exceptional teenagers kind of like crack cold cases. And cold cases, for you guys who don't know, it's basically like cases that haven't been solved but are not actually trying to be actively solved right now. So they want to put together this group of 4 teenagers that are exceptional at different things to solve these cases. And of course, they get dragged into an active case. This is so good, and it just keeps you on your toes because you kind of get the POV of the criminal in the beginning. The chapters are called You. And this basically is the mind of the one committing the crimes. And you get that every now and then, and it's so interesting. I would thoroughly recommend this one. The next one is one who's been in media a lot recently, and that is Project Hail Mary. This is a sci-fi novel following Ryland Grace, and the premise of this is basically that he wakes up in space and don't know who he is. He's like, what am I doing in a spaceship? How did I appear here? So he's on this mission to save Earth, basically. It's a lot of things happening, and he's trying to figure out what he's doing, what he's supposed to do, and along this way, there's an unexpected friendship that appears, and it's so good. I'm recommend, like all of this, I'm of course recommending, but this one, it wasn't like a 4.5 star, so it wasn't a 5-star, but it was still really, really good. And I watched the movie after reading this because I read this in like January, and then I watched the movie in July, I think. So good. So good. Read this, pretty please. If you've never read sci-fi and are a bit hesitant because it's a lot of science, read this one. Read this one. Now we have like a little bit of different genres. And the first one is Cleopatra. That's how you pronounce it, right? Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. Please check trigger warnings about this one. Please check all of the trigger warnings because this is not an easy book. We have Cleo, who's in, I think she's 24, and she's like a party girl. She's the it girl, something like that. And she runs into this older guy, Frank. He's very successful. He's a lot older. I think he's 20 years older, and they kind of start a relationship. And you get to follow along how their relationship develop and how the age gap affects them and how mental health really affects them. So you follow them kind of impulsively get married and how that becomes so turbulent and so real. And again, this book is not for everyone. You have to really check trigger warnings because it can get really dark. But I would really, really recommend reading this during autumn, fall, winter, somewhere along that timeline. The next to last book is 1984 by George Orwell. This is one of those books I would recommend everyone reading at least once in their life. I read this one during my time in Australia. I got it recommended by my teacher. And okay, so my camera kind of got overheated and just rudely interrupted me. But this is one of those books that I would recommend everyone reading once in their lifetime. It's one of those banned books in the States, and it's obvious why. Like, this is such an important book. Like, I don't know how to put it otherwise. I'm gonna read a quote for it, or like a few of it, because I have so much underlined. My teacher got so like, are you underlining in your books? I'm like, yeah, because this gets me thinking, you know. Freedom is not something I'm just going to worship. Why can't I read? Freedom is not something I'm just going to worship. I have to use it. Where does freedom exist? We must bear witness to the facts before our eyes. Listen and give clear voice to the bones' mute protest. For as soon as we fall silent from distraction, obedience, exhaustion, oh my god, why can I not pronounce that word? Exhaustion or fear, our freedom evaporates and we're left worshipping only its empty image. Look, I'm not the one who's really good at reading out loud, but this book, it's just got me thinking. Read this one. It's for you guys. I feel like everyone should know the plot of 1984, like at least have heard of it, but we follow this main character who lives in the state of Big Brother. They basically have cameras everywhere. They can know if you're thinking of committing crimes, like thought crimes, I think they call it. Like, they read into your thoughts if you're going against Big Brother, and they're gonna execute you. So they live in this totalitarian, I think is the right word, state where you have to be obedient. Otherwise, you're dead. You have to follow the rules. Otherwise, you're dead. And this is such, like, especially for us living in an incredibly online society where we have cameras everywhere, I would recommend this so much to actually read. Then lastly, I have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I feel like this one was really, really popular for a long time ago. This is a second chance romance that is kind of set during summer, but also towards fall and autumn. So I don't want to say too much about this one because I feel like this is one of those you really just have to go into blind. It's so emotional and so cute, and everyone should read this one. And I feel like it would be perfect to read kind of in like September, beginning of October. I feel like that's the vibes. Second chance romance, so cute, and fall autumn, the best vibes. Okay, so my camera died. Going really well for me right now, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed my recommendations. I hope it's enough for you guys to get to reading, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.